Get into our first thing, which has to do with DARPA. So if you guys don't know, I like to keep track of what DARPA is doing. I think it's always interesting just to check and see what they got going on, because they're always working on things. They could be large things or they could be small things, but either way, it's interesting, and they're always advancing into territory that we as humans should not be advancing into. We've talked about the various different things that they want to do. They've worked on things because they have different outfits connected to them, like IARPA and ARPA-H and these different things. And they're working on things like the Haystack program, which is the surveillance system that allows them to watch and monitor people in secluded locations, even underneath in like caves and underneath the underground and whatnot. We've talked about different things when it comes to being able to use AI and body recognition at a distance. So if you're walking the other direction, it's able to scan your body movements, compare it to your data sets within their AI programs, and be able to identify who you are, even if they can't see your face, based solely on how you walk and your movements and stuff. Remember, that stuff's constantly being updated as we go around the world or around our daily lives and stuff like that. But then there's also things on the smaller scale like this that has to do with communication networks. And so when we first look at this, it's kind of like, okay, really, what's the point of this? But one of the big things that's being developed now as we go digital and everything is more network and distance-based for communications is a lot of freedom fighters, militias, even like hackers and these other groups and stuff. They are setting up what they call weird networks, and they are secured stealth-like communication networks that are built to keep people out and not even find them, but those who are a part of it are able to communicate. And so this isn't anything new. They've had this stuff for a long time. Military's had it. Other people, individuals and stuff have had this. Even businesses use these things as well. And so DARPA is working on trying to upgrade their own version of it, as well as upgrade their detection of it to find these networks that other people don't want them to find. And so we'll head over to sam.gov, which is if you guys just got an extra 5 or 10 minutes during the week, just head on over there and you can check out some of the contracts that these places are putting up to find contractors for. And you'll see that DARPA put up one. It's called the Provably Weird Network Deployment and Detection, or PWND², as they got going on. Now, this thing was just posted not too long ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago that it was posted, and then it'll be closed out here in a week. And it has to do with research and development in the physical engineering and life sciences area, and it has to do with PWND² will develop formal models of emergent communication pathways to fundamentally improve how we deploy and detect robust and resilient hidden networks in the real world. Hidden. They want to find the hidden ones. Why? Because there's probably some communications going on that they want to know about so they can take these people out. The program will pair software-defined networking approaches with formal methods to provide provable privacy and performance guarantees for hidden communication systems at meaningful scale. And if we actually head into their PDF document, get a little bit more here. It says PWND² program will develop formal models of emergent communication pathways, weird networks, to fundamentally improve how we deploy and detect robust and resilient hidden networks. Currently, both the Internet Freedom, here we go, think about that, both the Internet Freedom and national security communities manually design hidden communication systems with ad hoc techniques, validate them via empirical testing, and deploy them without any guarantees that users will not be discovered. I want to focus on that Internet Freedom community that they're talking about. The Internet Freedom community, again, can be anything from militias to the underground freedom fighter communities, to anybody who maybe opposes anti-government type of stuff. And they've got these secured networks all over the place to be able to communicate with each other without people like the government getting in there to disrupt or learn about their tactics. And they want to be able to, DARPA here wants to be able to detect and infiltrate those so that they can take those groups down. This is, again, part of the silent warfare of what's going on in order to make sure that nothing disrupts what they're trying to accomplish when it comes to this global agenda. And so if they can track and detect all these different types of communication networks, it allows them to work more freely without any interruptions along the way. And so definitely DARPA wants to be a part of this. And so the point of this program is to be able to increase the efficiency of their own secret networks, but also to be able to detect others who may be a little bit more advanced when it comes to this stuff. Weird networks are not just used by government and military, but are actually used by businesses and corporations, terrorist groups, hackers, and yes, even the militia and resistance groups. If you guys don't know, even businesses and corporations have their own private, secured, weird networks that they use for their own communications. I'm sure people have seen different movies. What's the one I'm thinking of? I'm thinking, can't think of it, but there's movies out there that are based upon corporate warfare, where corporations will send in spies to other corporations in order to find secrets and find communications and intelligence and send it back to their own corporations, so they're able to beat each other when it comes to this stuff. This is stuff that actually happens. And so they hire contractors like ex-DARPA and military and government contractors to set up these networks. And so DARPA wants to be able to get into those along with all the other ones. And private communications, of course, is not new, but as programs move towards, as we progress towards World War III and the full Antichrist dystopian authority system that they're trying to build, having the ability to find these secure communication networks of the underground will allow the opposition to be removed. And this is fascinating because it kind of makes me think of, like, if you go to like the Left Behind movie, having the ability to be able to communicate on channels that aren't being monitored by the Antichrist is going to be almost non-existent. I just don't know how they're going to be able to do that with what's going on. Again, I'm not smart enough necessarily to figure that out, but obviously this is going to want to be used in order to find the Christians. The Antichrist is going to want to find the Christians and this type of stuff. It's the same thing that, again, go throughout history. World War II was a big one where they were constantly trying to access communication channels of the enemy in order to find out what they know, where they're going to be, where their supply routes are, and all these types of things. And so they had to talk in code sometimes, knowing that their communication networks weren't exactly as secure as they can be now. I'm sure a lot of you know about, what's his name, Alan Turing. He was known for trying to bust the Nazi Enigma code. I believe that was the communications between the U-boats back in the day. Well, he was the one that busted that. And so that was a turning tide in World War II. At that time, was being able to figure out the code, figuring out the network and the communication that was going on, and having that information allowed them to move about in their other ways. So it's kind of the same thing. It's just more brought into a modern technical digital world of what's going on. And so DARPA's trying to work on that in order to take down opposition. It's just not necessarily in the way of grand scale. This seems to be more, they're trying to target the more underground freedom communities on this as well. So it's always been there. They're just working on something different. Now, who is leading this program? It's always interesting to be able to look at who's behind these things. So the guy who's leading it is actually an expert in secure communications, encryption, and information security by the name of Michael Lack. And he has also worked on a couple of other programs in DARPA that I think are pretty interesting, that tell us dude's pretty on it when it comes to this stuff. He worked on DARPA's MICE program, which was measuring the information control environment, which I think we'll find something interesting here, because it has to do with MICE. AI exploration opportunity aims to develop algorithms and prototype open source software that measures how authoritarian regimes employ digitally repressive techniques such as censorship, blocking or internet throttling. If you guys don't know what internet throttling is, it's making your internet connection go very slow when they want it to go slow, like they don't want you to be able to have fast internet. A lot of internet companies will do this. If you reach a certain amount of data, they will start throttling your internet, slowing it down, that type of stuff. But he works on all of that at scale over the internet, as well as the technical capabilities used to enable such activities. So he's worked on programs that has to do with how regimes can employ digital techniques for censorship blocking and internet throttling. Wow. Isn't that great that he's working on something like this? He also worked on DARPA's RACE program. No, not the social justice thing. Resilient Anonymous Communication for Everyone. The Resilient Anonymous Communication, or RACE program, will research technologies for a distributed messaging system that can A, exist completely within a given network, B, provide confidentiality, integrity, and availability of messaging, and C, preserve privacy to any participant in the system. So basically, he knows the ins and outs of secure messaging and communications. So of course, you want this guy to be leading a project that has to do with finding these underground programs in order to take them down. So it's kind of a small thing, I know, but I think it's good to at least have an idea and understanding of these smaller things like this that have to do with they're going after the secure, off the grid type of people. I often get asked that question all the time about how do we go off the grid? How do they plan on going after these people? How do they plan on finding them and getting them and stuff like that? Here's your answer. This is just one of the ways that they're going to go after the underground society. And it's through these weird network, secure communication networks. And they're going to be able to find these people, infiltrate, and take them out according to how they choose to do it. So hopefully that will give you an idea of how they want to go about that. So small little thing, but still I think it's important. It answers a question, at least. Answers a question on that. Okay.